Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and now let's see what we can forage here in Heidelberg, Germany in June 2023. Oh nice, this is one variety of nice medicinal chamomile. I know it doesn't look like anything, but it smells like chamomile and is also medicinal. However, this wall is also being used for other sanitary purposes, so maybe don't pick your herbs there. Well, the fruit season this year has begun very slowly and painfully. The winter was harsher than previous winters, although not as harsh as the winters of like 20-30 years ago. Then the spring was cold and wet like March and April, pretty disgusting, like 12 degrees on average, well into May actually. And well, to the beginning of May, which is quite normal for traditional German climate, but not for climate change. Then second half of May was pretty warm and dry. However, the air is still cold, like today. As long as it was sunny, it was warm, but now the sun is gone, some cold wind is blowing, so I realized the air is still horribly cold for June. So let's see. Of course, not many fruits after the drought torture of the last couple years. And now whatever fruits we have are late and yeah, not developing that well in my opinion. Let's see here. Ponceros, the bitter orange. Some people already call it flying dragon. And as you can see, this little tree, very few fruits on it. Can see only two over there, one well developed and one yellow one which is gonna be dropped soon. So not a good season for the bitter orange. By the way, the hardiest citrus or citrus like citrus relative in the world. The black locust, a very invasive species, is done with flowering, which is a pity because the flowers are the only edible part on this otherwise really toxic plant, so nothing edible on those invasive trees right now. You could eat the flower buds, flowers and fruits on the Syrian hibiscus. However, those things are quite small. Nah, not worth eating them. And here we have the Portuguese laurel cherry, probably the most bitter cherries in the world. I don't even know, maybe you can do something with the flowers. They also should have a very strong cyanide flavor. Not that aromatic. Here are the young fruits, which are so bitter that even the bitter seed is less bitter than the bitter fruit. And this sheltered location, protected by the river from one side and by the hill from the other side, you get a lot of exotic subtropical fruits like those pomegranates, but right now they are just in flower. And here a bigger bitter orange with a lot more fruits, but still very young. I noticed that when they are young, they are not good for many things. They are not even aromatic. Later they get very aromatic, but now they are just bitter. Rosemary. Here we have monk's pepper. This is the opposite of Viagra. If you get horny easily, use this spice. You'll get rid of your problems and of your masculinity. This could well be one of the biggest outdoor pomegranate bushes in Germany. Look at it. Almost 4 meters high with a diameter of over 4 meters, but yeah, not in season now. And here this orange, one late beautiful flower on it. But what I'm actually looking for are the loquats. They are slowly coming in season and people have picked all the half-ripe ones down here. Can you see this? Not a single ripe-ish loquat down there. But I see a couple quite good-sized ones up here. Now I have to somehow pick them without breaking the poor plant. Oh, Don't know if they are completely ripe, but gotcha. Huh. Quite good size actually for loquats in Germany. And also starting to get orange. Ripe enough. Not bad, this loquat. Yeah, I showed you this tree earlier this year. A loquat tree which is not developing that well. So you can see lots of dead flower bunches. Yeah, you gave me a lot of ideas what the reason could be. It seems that this thing flowered the second time. It will have a lot of quite late fruits. They were never conspicuously much later than this tree over there, but now, well, we'll have a double loquat harvest here. First the other tree, and probably 1 month later this one. When people talk about almonds around here, they usually mean the peach almonds. Those are peach almonds. Fruit should be in a stage, yeah. In Turkey, almonds of that size are being sold as a snack. However, in this one, the flesh is tough, and the stone is already rock hard. I guess due to the drought last year, they are staying quite small but already more mature than their small size shows. The flowering quince is flowering, and it will not be in season, meaning will not have ripe fruits for months to come. Okay, the strawberry tree is developing well. It didn't look very well a couple years ago, but still, it will take many months before the fruits are ripe. Because we had no rain for weeks, even foraging for green stuff is not so successful right now. Well, here this chamomile could be slightly less dirty. What else could we get here? Well, the shepherd's purse is already quite old and already full of aphids, so no shepherd's purse for me now. The thistles, young thistle stems are quite good, but those will be already old and tough and thorny. This is one of the bitter dogs. This is Rumex obtusifolius. Don't want this one. Some lamb's quarters here, also full of aphids. Nah. So, yeah, the season, well, I mean, a couple lamb's quarters leaves, yeah, could still be. Yeah, not bitter yet. Lamb's quarter can deal quite well with drought. But still, the best time for foraging for green stuff, well, except in moist areas near the river, is over. Got a couple more loquats, most of them quite small, but the other bigger ones are just not ripe or have already been ripped off. In this garden, a young boy is growing figs and kiwi berries, and quite successfully. Looks like he's gonna have a good kiwi berry harvest in a couple months, not now. I know that neither the kakis nor the pineapple guavas will be ripe soon. Kakis are flowering right now. Lots of flowers and also a lot of small fruits. Yeah, beautiful. However, I don't think you can eat kaki flowers. What you can eat, however, are pineapple guava flowers. A week or two, and then I might be able to feast on the sweetest and most succulent petals in the world. Or if you know sweeter or more succulent petals than those, please tell me. I'll try to find them. Hordeum morinum, the mouse barley. Already mentioned this in May. It's an important climate indicator. Before climate change, this thing would grow only in cities in northern Germany, in villages in southern Germany. However, in the Rhine Valley, it would grow even outside of villages. Why is it a climate indicator? Well, city climate is hotter than village climate, and village climate is still hotter than countryside climate, like climate in fields and meadows and forests. Very important climate indicator. Quite a nice plant, however. I learned that it gets stuck a lot in socks, which I don't wear, and it's horrible for dog owners. Dog owners seem to hate it because once their dog wallows in it, it gets stuck in the fur and can even lead to quite bad wounds and life-threatening infections on the dog. I really like this city park where the city gardeners are planting a lot of edible stuff. Here, blackcurrant, red currant, gooseberries, spineless blackberries. There are raspberries somewhere hidden among them too. All of them not in season yet because of the cold spring. Here is the Josta berry. This is a German specialty. Oh, now I ripped off two unripe ones. It's a hybrid between a currant and a gooseberry. Quite popular in Germany and starting to ripen. Pineapple guava not looking good under the almond tree. Oh, here some red gooseberry. This stuff is good. Also, a couple strawberries. The snails have already enjoyed them. No, not appetizing enough. But the currant is not bad. Finally, mulberry season is starting. Don't ask me where they planted the mulberries in those raised boxes. It's a tree. It needs space to grow. I don't think this box will be enough for it in a couple years. But yeah, fruiting. Fruiting profusely. Not very sweet. But quite aromatic. Here they had the blueberry variety collection. Seems to be the only survivor, not looking good. The other ones either completely gone or outcompeted by the topinambur. Topinambur is a tuber which you can use similarly to potato, but it doesn't taste as good as potato. Of course, it will be months before the grapes are ripe. More mulberries here. And here they had a very interesting strawberry variety collection. Even had white strawberries and stuff. Oh yeah. Look at that. Those are white strawberries. Oh yeah. This tiny one here. I squeezed it. It's actually ripe. It's whitish except for the seeds. Sweet and flavorful. Nah, the other white strawberries are not ripe enough. And of course, in the shade of the peach almond, and now with the competition of the mulberry. Oh, by the way, those black fruits are from a white mulberry. Yeah, those white strawberries are not doing too well. What about those bigger strawberries though? Not really ripe, but okay. Tastes good enough already. Oh, the trash bins are empty and I saw a crow near the other trash bin. I think the Heidelberg crows are learning how to empty them out. Not absolutely sure, but if I catch them, I'll have to report them because they are also doing a lot of damage on the areas I'm responsible for. And if you think jackpot, I found so many wild strawberries, think again. This is the Indian strawberry, completely tasteless and horribly invasive. Nice pawpaw tree hidden back there. It will take months for them to ripen. I don't know why pawpaw didn't become popular in Europe centuries ago. I mean, it tastes like banana. It's even called banana, poor man's banana or Indian banana. Why don't we have big pawpaw trees all over the European countryside? The only fruit-bearing tree in Heidelberg was killed this year because they had to put a greenhouse where it is. Now we just have such tiny trees which don't bear fruits yet. It's a big loss, folks, the only pawpaw tree in the whole city being killed. The apple's not looking very good. I don't know if I've ever tasted anything from those spineless blackberries here. Should be good, but cannot be that good if I've never tasted them. And here there seems to be a bladder nut, if I'm not mistaken. However, neither flowers nor fruits on it. The flowers and the fruits are both edible. Is it really a bladder nut? I mean, it looks like it, but a bit strange. Yeah, guess it's a bladder nut. Those lily flowers are edible. Let's hope nobody peed on this one. Smell good. Tastes very different. Very crunchy. Refreshing. And also with the mustardy flavor. Good flowers. Actually, a friend of mine, Rosie, who lives not very far away from here, taught me that I can eat those flowers. And this is the crow. Got you red-handed. Don't fly away. I saw you. I saw what you did to the trash. This olive tree here has gotten quite well through the winter. Yeah, olives unfortunately are still not completely adapted to our climate. Our climate hasn't changed enough to accommodate olive trees perfectly, but it looks like this one didn't freeze back significantly. It's covered with thousands of flowers. Well, they're not smelling. Come on, the branch which is sticking over the sidewalk is completely devoid of flowers. No, almost no smell. Still, I hope they're gonna get some olives. Unfortunately, most of the olives here are the are the subspecies Oleaster, the so-called wild olive. Very small, which is not a problem, but also very bitter. But from time to time we get lucky and get an olive tree with bigger, juicier and less bitter olives, which are very good for pickling. Oh, Magnolia grandiflora. Grandiflora means the big flowered magnolia. And the big flowers are actually edible, but on this tree they're a bit too high. I remember a book on ornamental trees and shrubs in Germany from the 50s, when they said, yeah, we have already managed to grow a couple magnolias, like the smaller species, like this one here, which I'm not exactly sure which one it is in Germany. And we are pushing the zone more and more, and we will be able to grow some more magnolias here with a lot of breeding in future decades. But one tree we will never, ever be able to grow in the German climate. It's Magnolia grandiflora, which is very frost sensitive because of its evergreen leaves. Well, here 70 years later, we already have quite nice big trees. This tree is probably 30, 40 years old. It's growing quite well here in the mildest parts of Germany. This is the normal laurel cherry, the normal like the one from the Eastern Mediterranean, basically from the Caucasus, Black Sea and Caspian region. When the fruits are completely ripe, they're actually edible, and even the seeds can be used like bitter almonds. But while they are still unripe, stay away from them. They are still highly toxic. So, not in season yet. By the way, folks, I'm noticing that my foraging videos in the last 1 to 2 years, pretty much everywhere where I go, no matter if it's Borneo or the Canary Islands, which are in Africa, or like southern Spain and Portugal, or Italy and France, or Germany, everywhere the fruit season is quite messed up, and we haven't had a really good fruit season, a really good bumper crop throughout most of the fruit species for years. Yeah, I know it's getting quite boring showing you stuff which is not in season or where the fruits are not well developed, but yeah, that's the current situation. Sorry for that. Oregon grape, totally edible after heating, but like most other things, not in season yet. When we were little kids, from time to time we would suck on the fruits, which are quite tasty despite being very sour, and also we would shoot them through little blowpipes, and whoever got hit with those, to explain to their mother why they have those purple stains on their clothing, was very unpleasant to explain this stuff. And here, by the way, they are snails, but those snails are not German snails. Those are Mediterranean vineyard snails. It's very strange. Like 10, 12 years ago, they started showing up in the area, and now they are much more common than the German vineyard snail. Another harbinger of, sudden climate change. 50 or 100 years ago, those things wouldn't have survived the standard German winter. Now look at those cherries. This is what they call a bumper crop. There are a lot more fruits than leaves on the tree. This is one of the old varieties. I've seen it in Germany and also in Bulgaria. Sweet cherries, pretty soft, so not very good for long distance transport. Small. Also not completely ripe, but good stuff. I'd like to know the name of this variety. It's an old variety, as I said. I found it in the Balkan mountains of Bulgaria, also in the middle Rhine Valley of Germany. Very productive, as you can see here. But unfortunately getting replaced by more modern varieties. Under this same cherry tree we have the fire thorn. With young green fruits. They will get yellow, red or orange in a couple months. In America they are being foraged for food, but here in Europe they are very popular as an ornamental, but nobody knows the fruits are edible. Actually, they are not bad. They are more or less like soft, not that tasty apples. However, if a shrub has tens of thousands of them, small and soft and not so tasty, well, it's becoming relative when you can eat them either fresh or make jams and jellies from them. The lime or linden trees are in flower. Strong wind, so I don't smell the flowers too strongly, but they are wonderful for bees. Bees can produce a lot of honey when those things are in flower. You can also collect them for tea, and also sometimes there is a lot of manna growing on them. So basically, if you get those linden trees in a manna year, you can lick or suck the leaves and they will be just like sweet candy. And also I always wanted to find out if the fruits are edible for humans. The firebugs like to suck on the fruits, and I've eaten a couple of them. They are very rich in fat, but let me do some research before I do a video on those. A monkey puzzle tree, Araucaria araucana, here covered with the small male cones. The female cones are gigantic and full of big tasty nuts, but I've seen very, very few cases where they fruit successfully in Germany. Don't know why. Is it a climatic issue? Is it a pollination issue? Are there not enough pollinators around? I've checked many female cones on the ground and never ever found an edible nut of the tasty monkey puzzle tree. Oh yeah, it's Saskatoon season. However, this one here in a private garden, I'm not gonna pick them. I ate some this morning in a public park. They are not 100% ripe yet. They are not really sweet yet, but already totally ripe enough for eating. Funny thing is that in one area of northern Germany, they've been used for a long time instead of raisins, because people were too poor to buy raisins and the climate was too wet and too cold to grow raisins. So in northern Germany they know those things are edible, but here in southern Germany they are just used as an ornamental. What a pity. I've been eating from this Saskatoon bush for years. Now it doesn't look too healthy. Branches dying. Fruits are a bit on the smallish side, and it's a bit too early for them to shrivel up. Yeah, they will usually shrivel up, so you can pick them also weeks after they are they have desiccated, but it's a bit too early for them to shrivel up, especially in a year. Very tasty. It tastes like plum jam. Imagine taking plums. They taste either like very sweet plums or like plums with added sugar. Wonderful fruit, the Saskatoon. Wonderful. But no, the shrub doesn't look good. Look at those tiny fruits here. No, not looking good at all. What a pity. Underneath it Cotoneaster horizontalis. Very small fruits which taste like boring apples, but you can find them throughout the winter and spring, so when there are no other fruits. So right now, even if they were ripe, I wouldn't eat them because the Saskatoon, they are 100 times better. I think I saw a ripe fruit here. Yeah, one of the last fruits from winter season. This tastes much more boring than Saskatoon, but it's a fruit. It's tasty enough to be much better than no fruit. Just not tasty enough to be better than those little morsels. But yeah, I guess the shrub is going down the drain. I arrived at the north of Heidelberg, up the mountain. I'm in my orchards now. Here we had, the shore was considerably stronger than in the old town of Heidelberg. At least the ground got wet. Not really wet. We need rain. Yeah, spring was cold and wet, but last year was horribly hot and dry, the hottest and driest year on record. And this year the last 3 weeks were hot and dry too. We already have to start irrigating our fruit trees on campus because yeah, they are starting to die. And here, yeah, my apple trees, of course, not in season. The cherry plums still not in season. Cherries should be in season, but my cherries here were never good enough. Even when I was not involved on campus, I was always stealing their cherries. Here a couple wild cherries ripening and being eaten by the songbirds. Of course, the hazelnuts are not ripe yet. The Armenian blackberry, the biggest, baddest and tastiest invasive blackberry in the world probably. The petals are edible like most rosaceae petals, but nothing special. The fruit, however, are great. You can see that up here it's a little bit cooler. Even on the southern slope, the elderberries are still flowering well down near the river. They are still flowering, but not so much anymore. Those you can see the damage by the drought, however. Those apple trees have been damaged by drought for decades, and somehow they are still alive. All of them are hollow, the stems are hollow, the big branches are hollow, but somehow it still survive. Well, my last pear tree here, it died, and then I left the stem to be covered by ivy. When it falls over, I'll have to remove it so that I can cut the grass underneath. Funny, the meadows should be totally in flower in June, but due to the cold spring and due to the stupid grass here, I forgot the English name, but the Latin name is Bromus sterilis. This grass which is brown, which develops quite early. It suffocated everything, so that I had to cut my meadows the first days of May, despite the cold winter and the late development, just to save the other plants from suffocation. And now, of course, they are weeks behind their normal schedule. But at least in the areas where I cut this stupid thing, here it's coming back, by the way. Second harvest, coming back for seconds. What I cut is away, at least the other plants survived. Here my cherry plums. Cherry plums are the only plums I know which are tasty when still unripe. Very sour, but in a good way. Phew. However, if you eat other unripe plums, like blue plums or so, they are sour, but in a bad way. Those things here, at this stage of ripeness, they're even being sold at Turkish supermarkets. It's important that they are not too young. The stone should be hard enough already, because if you bite through it, the seed is bitter, so I will not enjoy the fruit sufficiently. But right now, they are perfect for being eaten unripe. Of course, even better once they are ripe. However, right now, while the birds are dropping the first cherries, the wild boars are coming here. So for the next weeks, the wild boars are gonna camp under my cherry trees. And then when they've eaten every cherry and munched on every cherry pit, they will move under the cherry plum trees and be underneath them for months. And then later they will alternate between the cherry plum and the blue plum trees. And they will basically munch on the cherry and later plum seeds every night for months and months to come. They will only leave the orchards or abandon the orchards as their most popular place to stay in September and October, when first the walnuts and later the chestnuts grow everywhere, because nutrition-rich walnuts and chestnuts still beat some cherry or plum seeds. Wild boars are great foragers. Follow the boar and you will never get hungry. Either you eat what the pig eats, or if you are not a vegetarian like me, you eat the pig. Follow the boar, but do it from a safe distance. If I haven't noticed that this was a coolish and wettish year, if I just came back like from the tropics right now, well, of course you would have seen that the grass is tall and the flowers are far behind. But also this clover here, Trifolium campestre. In dry years you will hardly find it on this mountain. In wet years, in really wet years, it makes up over 80% of the biomass sometimes. Now I can see that the year is on the wettish side, because I see quite a lot of it. It's not dominant, but it's still present. That's our plants. This plant can show you that this area is actually quite acidic, and it can also show you that this year has been, well, decently well supplied with water. Later in the evening, find a couple strawberries behind the cottage. This is the wild European, a bit dry, not too sweet, but very aromatic. Wild European forest strawberry, Fragaria vesca. I also have Fragaria moschata and Fragaria viridis, two rare strawberry species around here, but they're also so rare on my meadows that I can hardly find them in the tall grass. View over Heidelberg. Beautiful June evening after a slight shower. Even this wild cherry tree, probably not completely wild, most of them are kind of hybridized with cultivars, but even this one doesn't look really good. Few fruits, they don't look really convincing to me. The feral mirabelles have a lot of fruits, that's good. However, those feral trees which are coming from suckers, the fruits are not too tasty. Well, especially when they are unripe, they are not too tasty, because it's not a cherry plum. They're a bit bitter. Most people confuse mirabelles with cherry plums, but they have leaves very similar to blue plums. The mirabelle fruits might look like cherry plums, but their leaves look like blue plums, and they taste very different from cherry plums too. Lots of oregano on my meadows. Yeah, I managed to cut the bromus grass without damaging the oregano, but if I had not cut it, the oregano would be even smaller now, completely suffocated. Hoping that I'll find at least a couple more of those tasty wild strawberries up here. Don't think there will be anything else which is edible. The apple tree and the quince tree down there are not in season. The wild cherries behind them have no fruits. Yeah, the last years have been pretty poor in fruits, pretty much everywhere. Grafted Mirabelle tree, much better quality than the sucker Mirabelle trees. In about a month I hope it will be in season. Mahaleb cherries. Even this wild cherry species which has tiny black fruits, there's very few of them. And this thing is one of the cherry species best adapted to drought, but not many fruits. Could also be that when they were flowering it was just too cold and too rainy for the insects to fly, and they did not manage to pollinate them all. Here another kind of fruit tree, the blackthorn, another ancestor of our modern plum varieties, just like the cherry plum. And the Mahaleb cherry, by the way, is not the ancestor of the cherry cultivars, but it's being used as a rootstock for cherry cultivars. Still don't know who brought this capri fig here. It's a male shrub. Used to freeze back a lot when we had harsher winters, but for the last 10 years we haven't had a really harsh winter. Maybe this winter a couple of the tips froze back, but nothing else. Look at it. Covered with thousands of huge thick figs, and not a single one of them is edible. The figs are actually in fluorescences, and on this tree unfortunately they are male inflorescences, so they will not develop juicy flesh well. I'm saying tree, but of course after freezing back they grow back from the roots and they are just shrubs, even if they were intended as trees once. Don't think there is much edible stuff up there, unfortunately. But at least my girls have done a good job collecting the grass. Haven't been here since I cut it like almost 2 weeks ago, but everything looks nice and tidy. This year I cut like 5 weeks ago, already growing back. This year 2 weeks ago, in the lower part of the slope I haven't cut yet. Takes me weeks to cut the grass on this one slope. Enjoy once again the view on the city of Heidelberg. This is not the old town of Heidelberg. The old town is to the left, hidden between the hills. You cannot see it from here. Those are the suburbs. And in the background, though, the air is so clear that in the background we can even see the Black Forest. I guess the air is so clear because of the shower we had a little bit earlier. Is it cheating if I do some foraging here? Yummy soursop. Even bigger ones higher on the stem. Oh, and 2 gigantic ones even higher up. Yummy, yummy, yummy. The bananas need a couple more months. Pineapple. They forgot me when they harvested the last one, but I hope they will think about me once they pick this here. Greenhouse grown pineapples are a rarity. The cocoa is almost gone. Yeah, Please don't touch the fruits. First, if you touch them, you might steal them, and second, if you touch them, you might bruise them and destroy the nice golden color. I guess, nope, not gonna forage here today. Don't get me wrong, if I need to do an important species video, I will get the permit from the botanic garden, but just for random foraging, nope. The fruits here are not for random foraging. They are here to be enjoyed, and I mean enjoyed by looking at them by as many visitors as possible. Oh, the Bangladesh seedy banana is getting ripe. Not a very tasty one, more like a medicinal banana, but hey, it's a banana in Germany. What else do you want? An unexpected surprise, but a welcome one. While pruning this rose hedge here, I noticed that one Rosa rugosa has ripe out-of-season rose hips. Well, imagine folks, it's June. It's early June after a very cold spring. Well, now we've had quite a lot of heat and drought for the last couple weeks. Yeah, we are starting the drought again. By the way, today I noticed, not here, but a lot of the bushes around here, the leaves are starting to wilt. It's not good, not good, especially after the horrible drought of last year. Well, but drought and stress also cause one thing. Oh, look at that. That's some crazy monster mutation. Not gonna eat this, but I want to look at it more closely. This is an exploded rose hip, and there are still some strange stigmata-like organs on the seeds. You see, the seeds are exposed. Strange. Well, I'm not eating this one. But what about this one? Rosa rugosa, well, this is tiny for Rosa rugosa. They can have the size of smallish apples, like 50 times the weight of this. But rose hips are among the most vitamin C rich fruits in the world. Much richer in vitamin C than lemons or limes, and even richer than acerola. This might be tiny, but it's kind of ripe, so I'm happy. Not happy about all the shrubs which are starting to wilt, because two such droughts in a row, those trees and shrubs, a lot of them are not gonna survive this. Strange, none of the small commercial fruit and veg farms is watering its fields now. Normally, basically, yeah, driving along those country roads, or yeah, riding your bike or walking along those country roads is basically like a, yeah, it's like a war zone. You're getting sprayed from everywhere with water, which can be quite nice in the heat, but it's not so nice when it's quite cold. But now I saw a couple really dry fields, also a couple fields with still some moisture. Also, every small gardener, those plots with lots of trees are usually small private gardens. Every small gardener is watering their veggies like crazy, but they didn't see a single irrigation system turned on the small commercial fruit and veg farms. Germany is one of the best supplied countries in the world with water, and until 5 years ago, yeah, there were people with local water problems, but nobody thought that Germany could run out of water until 2018. I know 2022 was an even worse drought, and now 2023 started cold and wet, but it's still quite cold. Actually, only the last couple of days were warm. The days before were cold but horribly dry and sunny. And yeah, I'm scared, folks. I'm scared for the nature, I'm scared for the trees, I'm scared for the shrubs, scared for the fruit and veg production. Because without fruits, we are nothing. A field of sweet potatoes. I've always considered them a tropical crop, and now they've become a commercial crop in Germany. They are not closely related to the normal potato. And one of the big differences that you can eat not only the tubers but every part, the stems, the leaves, the flowers. Actually, I think the Chinese, they only eat the leaf stalks, while the Koreans only eat the leaf. What was it called? The stalk was the petiole, and the other ones, what was it? The petura. The petura. Well, the Koreans eat the flat part of the leaf, while the Chinese eat the stick which the leaf is stuck on. Yeah, and now you can find those things in Germany. I wonder if the fruits are edible in some way.